What is going on, guys? Datcoopguy here. Today we're going to be jumping into a rogue guide of how to do a marksman cold rogue. This is going to use a variety of different skills and chill based abilities to do massive damage while focusing on only the bow based skills of the rogue class. This has been one that I've been having quite a bit of joy and fun playing with, as it has lots of interesting combos. But without further ado, let's go into the talent tree. The ability that you're going to be wanting to pick up is Forceful Arrow. This will be able to give us a lot of vulnerability-based triggers. It also has a high amount of crit, so it does a decent amount of damage, but the main thing is that it does a big old knockback to any non-elite creatures that get close, and if they bounce into another enemy, they end up knocking them both down. It just provides this nice little knockback-based ability for any of the enemies that try to crowd us while we're trying to do our range-based attacks. From there, you're going to want to pick up Barrage. Barrage is nice because it has this ability to where it can ricochet, which is going to combo with a lot of our cold-based abilities later on. From there, we're going to have it to where they also deal increased ricochets if they are vulnerable, which partners up with the Forceful Arrow. And then lastly, we made it to where they're almost always vulnerable with the third cast. So between that and that, we're making it to where a lot of things are vulnerable, which is good for us. From there, you're going to want to pick up Caltrips. Not so much for the ability, but mainly for the nice slow that it provides and the damage increase, which comes from when it is enhanced. But lastly, we're going to make it to where it provides cold and chills. This is actually going to be really nice because it's going to partner with a lot of our other cold-based skills, and it's going to make it to where we can freeze them very easily. From here, you're going to pick up Smoke Grenade. Smoke Grenade is very nice because it makes it to where they're dazed and they can be held in place, which partnered up with the Caltrips keeps them in there, and you can possibly freeze them. It also makes it to where they take more damage, and whenever they're vulnerable, chilled, or slowed, which all of our abilities do, it makes it to where it lasts a little bit longer, allowing you to get some quick, easy hits. From here, you're going to want to get Exploit. Right now, your damage is not going to be very high, so I highly recommend picking this up as soon as possible, as this will increase your damage by a good amount. You can also put a few points into Vulnerable to increase it to where you do a little bit more damage. From there, you're going to be picking up Cold Imbuement. This is going to make it to where we are able to add chill to certain skills, which is going to be our Barrage and later on Rain of Arrows. And we have it to where you deal 20% more damage to anything that is crowd controlled, which almost all the things that we're doing involves crowd control. And on top of it, deal bonus damage to frozen enemies. From there, you're going to want to pick up Rain of Arrows. This is a very powerful ability. And we're going to have it to where it increases the potency of the imbuement that is on it. And on top of it, it has it to where it has the knockdown. So this partners up really well with the cold imbuement. I usually like to get one barrage in there and then try to do Rain of Arrows. With Rain of Arrows having the cold imbuement, it pretty much always freezes them. Now, some points to keep in mind if you're going to continue leveling on with this build is you really need to make sure that the damage gets increased. While the damage is decent, we want to make it sure that it's absolutely stellar and is able to just mop the floor with enemies. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to put any additional points into balance as you level up. You're going to want to get Frigid Finesse done, because this will increase the damage by the chilled enemies. And then you can also make it to where you can decrease their movement speed by a bunch. So having it by 30% makes it to where they're more likely to get frozen. And then lastly, you're pretty much going to pick up all of these abilities here. And for your ultimate ability, you'll be picking up Precision. By doing all of that, you'll have an adequate amount of damage to where you can really start to do a lot of the different combos, lots of different slows, and have a really good time while enjoying this marksman-based rogue. So, without further ado, let's show you guys some combat. Alright, I found myself a good little spot for us to summon some different enemies to test this out on. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop our Caltrips here, give ourselves our good old freezing ability there, pick up those enemies there. Knock this guy back a few times. Because he's placed against the wall, we can kind of bully him into holding into spot. Pop our Caltrips again. Cold Imbuement. Try to freeze a lot of these enemies here, which we are able to. They're out of it. Daze them. Pop this again, and we can just attack them from afar. Doing an ultimate, great setup. Now over here we have an elite, so what we're going to do, pop that. Pop our freezing here. And then we're going to do that, freezing him in place. Pop that to help daze him in place there, and he's dead. And like that, that's pretty much how the build goes. Well, anyways, guys, that was my look at the Cold Archer. So, in general, The basic tips of this is you want to make sure that you apply multiple different slows and have it to where you have as much distance as possible with a lot of these different characters things out here. So what you're going to be doing is with Forceful Arrow, Caltrips, you kind of keep them slowed, keep them out of your face. From there, that's where your Cold Imbuement really comes into handy, as this allows you to be able to use Rain of Arrows and Barrage, where it's able to do its multiple different ricochets to make it to where we really apply that Cold Imbuement, allowing them to become frozen and then making them do even more damage. We have our escape cards with Caltrips and also Smoke Grenade to really help out with that, and our main damaging of Barrage, which is able to do massive amounts of damage outwards, while also providing with Forceful Arrow to keep him off of our backs, but also still having that additional crit to still do some massive damage in the meantime. With the good old combo point system and Barrage being able to ricochet multiple times, you're able to do a great amount of damage and also pop a lot of frozen procs. The big thing though is going to be damage. That's going to be something that you're really going to have to work on, otherwise everything else is going to outshine this build. So making sure that you pick up a lot of these different abilities here, and then also making sure that you get the Frigid Finesse and the Chilling Weight to where we could really hold them in place is going to be very important, especially going on later on. So damage is going to be the main thing that you're going to want to focus on. I also forgot to mention this as well, but you actually aren't going to really want crossbows. You're going to want to get the regular bow, as it does an increased amount of damage to vulnerable, which with Barrage and our Forceful Arrow, pretty much everything will be mostly vulnerable. I hope you guys do enjoy this. Make sure to check out some of my other guides in the future. I'm going to be trying to level up this guy here and try to finish up my Druid shortly, so I'll be able to have more guides on them pretty soon. But for now, keep adventuring in Sanctuary, and best of luck in Hell. I'll see you guys next time.